Kara's Cures, where we explore the cutting edge of wellness. I'm Kara Sundlun, and September is National Self-Improvement Month, and I'm joined by author Ashley Bernardi about her new book, Authentic Power. Give yourself permission to feel. Welcome, Ashley.
Kara, thank you so much. So excited to be here today.
Yeah, no surprise, 2020 was just named the most stressful year in history. So you decided to write a book about turning your mess, all of us have some mess, into strength based on your own healing. And I love that you're practical about this because you've been a PR exec and an entrepreneur and worked in media. So this is not just woohoo stuff. This is really about taking really tough stuff like watching your dad die to getting Lyme disease, postpartum depression, and turning it into something that was positive.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. It took a long time to heal and process from everything that I've gone through, but we all right now during the pandemic are going through a collective trauma. And so during that time at home, I found this quiet time to really process my healing journey. And you're right. When I was 11 years old, I watched my dad die in front of me. And what I did was not give myself permission to feel those feelings of trauma, of grief, of pain, of loss, of suffering. And instead of actually really feeling them. And of course I was a child, so I give myself grace, but instead I buried those feelings. And for years it came out in other ways. It came out in people pleasing, not having efficient boundaries. It came out in poor relationships, destructive relationships. It came out in over drinking and overworking. And it wasn't until I was around in my mid 30s, I was hit over the head with another trauma, which was Lyme disease and postpartum depression at the same time, that I had no choice but to have these feelings all bubble up. And that's when I really started to feel them. That's when the healing happened.
Well, they say you have to feel it to heal it. And I think that's difficult for some people, especially if it's a negative emotion. We tend to just go, oh, I need that to go away. What do I do to not feel this? And you say, actually, the first thing we need to do is get quiet.
Yeah, we need to get quiet. And these feelings are uncomfortable, but I think what I would love to share with your audience is I challenge you all to reframe how you see these emotions. These emotions are here for a reason. They're primal emotions. They're here to let us know that, hey, something's a little bit off. Let me get curious about that. So I want you to get curious about these emotions by getting quiet. How do we get quiet? First of all, turn off that noise, turn off your TV, get off social media, take a break, step away from your computer, step away from work. I actually had to do this yesterday when I was feeling stressed from work bubble up. You step away, you get quiet. Now, some people, if they're not meditators, that's okay. I'm a big meditator, so I'll close my eyes for a little bit. But it can be as simple as taking your hand, putting it on your heart, closing your eyes, couple deep breaths, calm and feel what you're feeling. Ask yourself, get curious. What am I feeling? And why might I be feeling this? And if anything, it allows you to just take a couple deep breaths and process through that uncomfortable feeling. And when you open your eyes again, I promise you'll feel different. It might still be there, but you will feel better about it.
I've interviewed experts in neuroscience, and they've said, really, it's about 90 seconds that we feel an emotion if we let it pass, if we just let the wave go. Now, no one's going to think that, no, I was mad all day, but it's usually our thoughts and our rumination about it, maybe not allowing ourselves to just get quiet and feel it, that it sticks with us, right? So it will pass if we allow ourselves to feel it.
Yeah, it's so true. You're right. Science says it's that 90-second rule. It really only takes 90 seconds to let that emotion pass. And the problem is in our society, we don't let it pass. And for me, for almost 25 years, I did not let the feelings of grief and trauma pass through me. So they just get stuck inside you. They come out in other ways, and it can actually even come out in physical ways. Like for me, I hold my stress in my shoulders. So when I get stressed at work, I lose my neck, right? So if I want to get that 90 seconds through, breathing through it, getting quiet, getting curious about that emotion, I promise you'll feel better. And you're absolutely right. Science proves that too.
Another tip you have is journaling your desires. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or anxious, just the act of writing them out. What am I feeling right now? It's a way to get it out.
Yeah, it's therapy in and of itself. So I'm a person that has journals all around me. I have a journal upstairs. I have a journal downstairs. If you don't have a journal, just get a piece of paper and write out how you're feeling. I am stressed today. I am overwhelmed today because I'm sad. And just free write. Go with it. Don't edit yourself. And you step away, and I look away when I journal and I'm like, wow, I feel better already just getting that out on paper. Sometimes I even feel inspired to take it a step further and talk to a loved one about how I'm feeling too. But that process of getting what's in your brain onto paper is therapeutic and a release in and of itself.
Well, and sometimes we learn something about ourselves. I have to say I do this too. I think maybe because I write a lot and I write for work, if I have a scrap piece of paper and I'm having a stressful moment, I've learned from folks like you that just writing it out there is one way to let that 90 seconds pass. And you learn something. You're like, oh, I guess I'm really mad because of this. And that self-awareness is healing.
Yeah, and it's really about getting curious about why you might be feeling that way. And kudos to you for writing it out and being like, oh, it's enlightening. You're like, okay, I see that. And now I can move on my day because I've acknowledged it. I've given that emotion, that uncomfortable feeling awareness, and I've processed it.
I think we might have a picture of your book cover. So if we get a chance, we'll put that on the screen here. But you created something called the Feel Framework. And this is what you're going to find. Here's the cover of the book right now, Authentic Power. And you want to focus on your emotions, enter within the emotion, and then experience it. So tell us a little bit about this framework. I love things that we can remember in a moment of stress.
Yes, in a moment of stress, tell yourself to feel. Remember to feel. This is what I did not do for 25 years, so I don't want you to be like me. And I learned that when I actually allow myself to feel, I am happier, I'm healthier, both physically and emotionally. So feel first. Focus on that emotion. That means identifying the emotion. Okay, what is it? Ask yourself, what is the emotion that I'm feeling? And this can be done walking, sitting at your desk. It can be done meditating, closing your eyes, opening your eyes. The feel framework can literally be done anywhere, in a grocery store, wherever. So identify that feeling. Today I'm feeling stressed and anxious. Okay, get curious about that. Then enter within that emotion. What does that emotion feel like? So for me, it's meditating and closing my eyes. What does that emotion feel like? Where is it showing up in my body? Experience that emotion. All right, my stress is showing up in my shoulders today. Or, oh my gosh, my anxiety is showing up in my stomach today. Get curious about where it's showing up and get quiet about it. Then I want you to listen to that emotion. Get quiet. Listen to that emotion. What is it trying to tell you? Learn from that emotion. What is it trying to teach you? And love that emotion. Thank you. Thank that emotion for being there. It's there for a reason. Love that emotion back. So that's where I find that there's so much healing. And by processing this through the feel framework, you're only going to grow and improve your well-being.
You know, there's so much focus right now on positive thinking and positive manifesting. And, you know, you have to just imagine how you want your life to be and it's going to occur. So I think sometimes people are feeling if I go into that negative emotion, I'm just going to create more of that. That's not what I want to do. How do you challenge that it's actually a good thing to feel it, that you're not just going to bring yourself down?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And there's actually something called toxic positivity. If you're really not feeling happy, why try to be happy, right? These emotions, we're supposed to feel the uncomfortable feelings because it balances out those happy feelings. We can't expect to be happy and joyful all the time. That's not human. That's actually robotic. So I do see a lot of toxic positivity out in the world. Everything's great. Social media is one great example of, oh, everything looks great. Everything feels great. But really inside, you might be hurting as a person. So my challenge to society is it's okay to express the ugly, the messy, the vulnerable, because people are going to learn and heal from that. And also feel like we're creating a safe environment to share all parts of life, which are beautiful. That could be the uncomfortable and messy and the happy.
So in your book, Authentic Power, Give Yourself Permission to Feel. I know you talk a lot about anger. As moms right now, we've been having a lot of stuff go on with, you know, people have been home with their kids, trying to manage work and all this. And you always feel so guilty or so badly when you snap at your kids, like, oh, I didn't mean to get angry. And how do you use this feel framework to be a better role model? Because you want us to feel, but you don't want people spewing all their bad feelings onto people.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I can so relate as a mom to 3 little kids at home and having them at home with me for almost 2 years during the pandemic. So of course I would get frustrated and of course I would get angry with them. And in my book, Authentic Power, I interview some of the world's leading experts and psychologists on parenting and psychology. And what I learned is that we want to lead by example for our kids. We want our kids to know that it's also okay to feel these emotions. You know, when you hear a kid crying, normally people say, oh, stop crying. You don't need to cry. My advice is, hey, get curious. I understand why you're upset, Kate. My daughter's name is Kate, or Alyssa. I understand why you're upset. That must be very upsetting because it's okay to cry. So giving your kids permission to go through these emotions, or sometimes my kids get angry and they throw a pillow in a safe way, and I let them do it. I'm like, girl, get that anger out. That's a primal emotion. Dr. Jamie Hope is an ER doctor I interviewed in my book, and she talks about stress hard and stress soft, and have your two stress toolkits. And you can take a pillow and toss it against your bed to get that anger out. It's a primal emotion. So I tell my kids, it's okay if you need to punch a pillow. That is a way to release our uncomfortable, messy feelings. And so my message to anyone who's a parent out there is give your kids permission to feel, and let them be that example for them as well, as long as it's in a safe way.
Right. Obviously, if they're hitting or they're this, we need to correct that.
But of course, exactly.
But what you're saying is sometimes we're going to also bring our triggers into that relationship, be it with your spouse or your kids. If we show up and we're already revved, then taking that moment to kind of be with whatever we're feeling is we're going to have a better afternoon with, you know, when your husband's coming home or when your kids are screaming. If you had a moment where you journaled a little bit and you let some of your stress out, you're going to be better to show up that way.
Always. And the other thing is, you can even encourage your kids to do this with you. During the pandemic, I would meditate with my kids. I'd say, who wants to sit and get quiet with me for a minute? And we make this a regular habit as much as we can. And sometimes we'll do meditations at night. So that's really helpful too. So teaching your kids that, yes, it's healthy to stress, get your emotions out in a healthy way, but also to get quiet too. And hey, do you want to come do this with mommy? You want to try some meditation, some yoga? Leading by example with your kids is so important.
Yes, I think it's true. Well, kids are like our pets, right? They sort of reflect our emotion. A little bit harder when they get to those teen years. They want to challenge you.
That's
no, I
true.
don't want to come.
I've got one of those coming up.
Well, I want to let everyone know that the book is out and available. You can find Authentic Power, Give Yourself Permission to Feel. You've interviewed 20 different luminaries. It's a very practical book that people can find really good scientific information to just help them lead happier lives and feel better.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Kara. It's been such a great conversation.
Ashley Bernardi, thank you so much.